Good afternoon. Today I'm going to go over my Project 3 final and show what I have created and give a demonstration of it. So, as you can see, we are in a level right now. This is the basic VR level that is used as a motion controller map in the VR example package. This game is a VR project. It is supposed to be the underlings of a VR RPG of some kind, similar to like Final Fantasy, maybe with some more Zelda, Breath of the Wild like vibes, where it's kind of an open area with enemies that you can that will attack you on sight. And you can attack back and kill, and you'll gain XP from that. Maybe get some. You'll also get some loot. There'll also probably be dungeons and shrines, kind of like Breath of the Wild. For you can do puzzles and stuff. There'll also be like a couple of towns that'll be separate from the open world. That way you can have like shops and quest hubs and stuff like that, and it might turn into something I don't know, maybe an MMO at some point. I'm not 100% sure. This isn't set up to necessarily be an MMO, but over here I can go ahead and get into the actual project itself and what I've done. So we have a player start here, and you can start and load in and navigate over this way. You can walk in any direction, look in any direction on PC. On Quest directly, for some reason, I can't get your character to turn like this. I'd be at 45-degree increments, but I can't get the character to turn, and there are some bugs with turning on the PC version. There's also some issues with collisions and issues with the height of where your player is at. I'm trying to figure those out, but at the time of recording this video, I've been unsuccessful in my attempts to figure out how to go about fixing the collisions so that the sword doesn't fall through the floor, or you don't just your character doesn't just walk through any of the obstacles or walls or anything. Anyways, you spawn in here, you go over, and you can pick up this sword. And you can walk over here, and you'll see there's an enemy. This enemy has sensing on it, so it can detect if the player's within a certain range of their eyesight, and then come immediately to chase you. It doesn't do anything more than chase you, but you can use the sword to attack it and kill it. As far as attacking and killing it, it does work, but I've been trying to set up the death animation, and that is another issue that I've run into, that I've been unsuccessful in figuring out how to implement the death animation so that it actually plays. So at this point in time, it just freezes, or it just disappears when you kill it. There's no animation, it's gone. I'd like to have that fixed, but at this point I don't see myself being able to fix that, and I've got to do a lot more research. Now I'll go ahead and show you my blueprints for how I've set up things. So I've kind of based this off of the original VR pawn that you get within the VR example package, but I did recode it myself to better understand what's going on and to better fit what I'm specifically trying to do. Because the regular VR pawn that comes with the project is built for teleport, locomotion, which is where you basically teleport like a blink mechanic, whereas this is meant to be more thumbstick locomotion, where you look where you're going and you press forward, left, right, back, and it's based on your direction of where you go, of where you're facing. So we go to the begin play. There's a sequence. So first, it checks your headset to see if you're running Steam VR, Oculus, PSVR, and it'll get the device name for it. At this point, I've only tested it on Steam VR headsets. That's all I have. Or not Steam VR, but Oculus. I have an Oculus Quest, and the second one, and I have a Rift S. So I've only have the Rift and the Quest as reference right now. But these two will set the tracking origin at the floor level. And then for the Oculus specifically, we go into this Oculus device type that it gets it and it switches it based on. So for Quest and Quest 2, basically they run at different display frequencies, and the Quest 2 has a higher capability. The Quest 1 only goes up to 72 Hertz. At the time of recording, most games can go up to 90 Hertz on the Oculus Quest 2, and Unreal Engine has support for 90 Hertz. But 120 Hertz mode has begun rolling out in version 28 on the headsets for Quest 2, and some games have already supported it, but Unreal Engine probably won't have that support till at least version 427, if not later, just because of how behind they are compared to, say, the Oculus official builds for Unreal Engine. The Epic installer version just isn't as caught up with the SDK versions of the Oculus headsets. But anyways, so it'll read this and tell me which headset that you're using, and it will get the available frequencies. It'll select one for the 72 Hertz mode on the Quest, and the Quest 2 will select 3 for 90 Hertz mode. There's also a 60 Hertz mode, and on the and that's 0. And on the Quest 2, you also have an 80 Hertz mode, which is 2. I imagine that 4 will get the 120 Hertz version after that, whenever they do update it for Unreal. So for the PSVR, you're getting the set tracking origin at the eye level. It's adding the offset at VR origin and the default player height. And then it's setting the control roll to rotate to on. I'm not 100% sure what that does because I don't have PSVR and I don't quite understand it, but this is what I was shown in kind of documentation on how to set it up for PSVR development. Then you come down in here to spawn the motion controllers. This one's kind of taken from the base pawn that it comes with the VR example. So you spawn the BP actors for each. You get the spawn transform. You get a reference to self as the owner. You select collisions to always on, ignore collisions, and set the hand to left or right based on which one it needs. Then you you set it as the left and right controller, attach it to component, and add it to the VR origin, and not everything else you keep the same. And that's basically just setting it up at the beginning. There's nothing else going on other than that. You then have the move forward backwards, which takes the axis value of the left thumbstick on the Y and X axis. Forward backward is Y axis. The left right is the X axis. Takes that and multiplies it by a specific movement speed. And then you also get your camera, and you get the forward vector or the right vector based on what direction you're trying to go. You break that out into the 3 X, Y, Z coordinates. Pull over to the X and Y to project a vector on plane. because it's VR. It has to project onto a plane to get it to move in a pawn. I haven't been able to really get it working on an actual character. VR just doesn't seem to be working on the actual characters like it does on pawns. So you're just possessing a generic pawn. And so that's how you get the movement. So you multiply that vector that you get on the plane to the movement speed, and then you put it in the delta location of add actor world offset. And you basically do that the same over here, just right vector instead of forward vector, and you're getting it on the x-axis of the left thumbstick rather than the right. Next is the rotation, left-right on the right thumbstick x-axis. This is what's working on the PC version, but not on the Quest. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why it's not working on Quest, but it just doesn't. So first, it'll check if the axis value is 0 or not, and if it's false, it'll go out into this branch of basically checking for the negative degree movement. So it checks the joystick dead zone, multiplies that by -1 for the negative rotation, which would be to the left, I believe. To the left. And then if it's greater than or less than 0, or if it's less than 0, then you make it true and set the rotation to -45 and do it once. If it's false, it goes down into this one, which will basically do the opposite. It's for the positive dead zone, or it's for the positive direction, so to the right. So it'll check the same joystick dead zone, check if it's greater than or equal to 0, and then should set it off to true, which would be then, the negative, go with positive rotation, and then do once. The do once basically just ensures that it isn't repeating itself every time you do it. So that's why you have this true on the branch over here, because it's going as a reset for the do once. So it kind of acts more as a button than a true thumbstick input at this point, but it does work, at least on the PC side of things. Quest, I've still got to figure it out. But once this is completed, it rotates the player and it gets the actor transform and gets the rotation. The rotation angle is just how far you want to rotate it. We rotate it in snaps of 45 degrees. The reason we do that is to save on motion sickness. If you have the smooth, usual camera rotation that you would get in most games on console or PC, you would probably become motion sick. So basically, it'll add this rotation to the Z because it is rotating on the Z-axis. And then your actor transform, you'll get the new location and the new scale. And that is that. Now let's go over here. Basically, this is just the grip where the left and right grips on each controller will either grab or release an actor. Basically, the weapons or the boxes or whatever that is grabbable. So next, we'll go into the sword, since that's the big one that we gotta use. There's not a whole lot here. It's just a sword, and then you have a box collision on it for detection. All the logic for dealing damage is within the test AI rather than in here, just because it was easier at the time to put in the test AI. It might be easier to just do it in here, but I'm not 100% sure. And this basically just does the pick up and drop off. I need to do more research onto how exactly this works, because It's just something I didn't really look into. I just kind of duplicated the box blueprint that comes in the VR project and just changed the static mesh from the box to the sword. It was just, I was having a lot of problems with this project, so this was kind of the easiest way of trying to implement it, because there wasn't a whole lot of tutorials online that had more of in-depth explanation of how to make a true sword in VR. At least none that I could tell that were really usable. And finally, we come over here to the test AI, which does two things. You have the pawn sensing, which will cast to the pawn, and then basically move it to the pawn, or towards the pawn. And then next we have the sword damage, which casts to the sword. And then it checks this true or false branch. I'm actually not sure why it has this true or false branch at all. I think I may have set it in there for something and forgot I did that. So I think I don't need that in there for any reason. Basically, it'll just get the health of the actual AI. Every time it hits, it'll basically subtract 25% of the health out of 1. So 4 hits. And if it's less than or equal to 0, then it'll check if it's true here. And it will destroy the actor if it's true. I'm not 100% sure why I had this second branch here. I don't think I need it at all. But yeah, that's basically the AI and how I did the blueprints for this. Overall, there's a few things that I do need to fix with the project. Like I said, the collisions aren't doing very well for like this object. It just, if you pick it up and then you drop it anywhere, it'll just fall through the floor. And you can't even pick it up again if it did land on something that it didn't fall through. It just won't let you pick it up again for some reason. So I don't know what that is. The other issue, like I said, was not having this sort of motion in the quest specifically, and then also the death animation on here and the player height issue. But otherwise, that's my project, and I should go ahead and give you all just a little bit of a demo of the actual gameplay. So I will be right back, and I will discuss what's going on as I play through it. Alright, so as you can see, I'm here in VR. Let me just grab my controllers real quick. Let's see, where did I put it? Yes, there we go. Alright, so as you can see, I'm looking around just as I would for like in a regular VR game. I have this look around. Alright, and then I move over here, pick it up, and I can basically go over here and 1, 2, 3, 4. There it goes. It's dead. You can see that there was no player animation. You can kind of see that my player height, I'm really, really short. Like I said, I was having that issue. I was having the animation issue, the collisions. I can show you that's not working right. I can just walk through things, and then if I try to pick it up, it'll freeze it, but it won't like let me pick it up, and it'll just fall right on through. So yeah, that's my project. Hello, goodbye. And I'm overall feel confident in what I've done so far, given the limitations of the actual game. Or the limitations of not the game, but the limitations of VR and the amount of time that I've had to produce this. So I want to thank you for your time and watching this, and I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you.